Hello students, today we will going towards the topic respiration. So respiration involves two things, that is, one is breathing and another one is the cellular respiration. When we talk about the respiration in human beings, the respiration cannot be defined by using oxygen. Without using the word oxygen or without using the gas, that is oxygen, we cannot define the process of respiration. So during breathing, we take oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide. This is the process of breathing. So again, what is the another topic, that is cellular respiration? That is, or directly we can say, the respiration that involves the breaking down of foods, or we can say carbohydrate, into glucose, and then after glucose it will be released energy from the cell, and this cell molecule has ATP. The molecule of energy is ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So basically what we are getting for a respiration, there are two things involved in it, that is breathing. Breathing is simply taking of oxygen and releasing of the carbon dioxide. And when we talk about the respiration, respiration is the breaking down of glucose into energy. And whatever energy we are getting to sustain several life processes in our body, it is due to the ATP. That is the energy, and this energy is in the form of the molecule ATP, and that is adenosine triphosphate. So this is about respiration and what are the things involved in it. So we will be describing about respiration in human beings. Before that, we need to know what is the different pathways. Different pathways during the breaking down of glucose into energy. So several microorganisms, several living organisms has different ways how they breaks the glucose into the energy, and that we will see the next. So now we will be discussing about breaking down of glucose by various pathways. So first we need to use the glucose, and the formula for glucose is C6H12O6. So that means the glucose has 6 carbon molecule. So during this 6 carbon molecule will be converted into pyruvate, and that is 3 carbon molecule. Pyruvate, or you can say this one as pyruvic acid, and this pyruvic acid or pyruvate undergoes under 3 processes, or they can go under 3 processes. So one is in the presence of oxygen. So in presence of oxygen, it occurs in mitochondria. And during that, the end products of this will be carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. So generally, mitochondria is a cell organelle present in the cytoplasm of the cell. So whatever this process occurs, that occurs in cytoplasm. The beginning of the process of breaking down of glucose starts in cytoplasm. So when it starts breaking down, it first breaks down into pyruvate or pyruvic acid. It is the first metabolism or first output in breaking down of glucose, that is pyruvate. It is the foremost form of the energy. Okay, so now first pyruvate 3 carbon molecules is broken down into CO2, H2O plus energy in presence of mitochondria. Okay, the site for this process is in mitochondria, and this takes place in the presence of oxygen. Again, in the next path or next way, it occurs in absence of oxygen. So during absence of oxygen, it generally happens or occurs in cytoplasm, and its end products are CO2, ethanol, which is also 3 carbon molecule plus energy. Okay, here, sorry, it is 2 carbon molecule ethanol, 2 carbon. Again, another way the things goes is in the lack of oxygen. Lack of oxygen. The end products are lactic acid. So acid can be written as this, and plus energy. So this lactic acid is also 3 carbon molecule. 3 carbon molecule. Okay, these are the 3 steps during the breaking down of the glucose. So when we talk about the process when it takes place in the presence of oxygen, it is called as the aerobic respiration. It is called aerobic respiration, and which doesn't takes place in the presence of oxygen. That means in the absence of oxygen, that is called as the anaerobic respiration. Okay, so this takes place in presence of oxygen, and anaerobic, it takes place in absence of oxygen. So here we have used the 2 words here, that is absence and lack. So lack of oxygen means here the organism needs oxygen for the doing their life processes, but in some cases the amount of oxygen does not reaches the cells or tissues. So in that case it forms lactic acids. So already oxygen is inside the body of the organisms, but in some of the parts of the organisms, such as in the cells, in the tissues, in the body parts, it forms lactic acid, and due to which it causes cramps in our body parts. So during our sudden activities, some sudden activities causes the release of the lactic acid. So due to which our body parts can have the cramps. Okay, and this absence of oxygen means complete absence of the oxygen. That means the organism doesn't require any oxygen molecule for their process, and such process are done by the yeast, that is the microorganisms, and this yeast perform the activities in absence of oxygen, and whatever respiration, whatever process is going on here, that process is called as the fermentation. So during fermentation, the yeast doesn't require the oxygen. Okay, so in organism yeast, the process of respiration occurs, anaerobic respiration occurs in absence of oxygen. So here is a little bit description of the breaking down of glucose by various pathways. So we have got the types of respiration here, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, and the energy released during the breaking down of glucose, that energy has the molecules, that is ATP, that is the energy molecule, and it is the full form of it is adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. And this ATP is used as a fuel for doing several life processes in our body. So now the breathing. The breathing means intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. So this process of breathing generally goes for aquatic animals and the terrestrial animals. Okay, so generally in aquatic animals, the amount of dissolved oxygen they required for their breathing process. So they take the dissolved oxygen from the water and they directly take oxygen from the atmosphere, that is from the mixture of air. So in both the cases, aquatic animals and terrestrial animals, in aquatic animals, in water, the percentage of oxygen is low. So that's why the aquatic animals has faster rate of breathing than compared to the terrestrial animals. Why? Because in terrestrial animals, wherever they intake the oxygen, that is from the atmosphere, the amount of oxygen is much higher. The percentage of oxygen is much higher than compared to the of oxygen. So as compared to the aquatic animals or aqua, that is water, the dissolved oxygen percentage is less than compared to the atmosphere. That's why aquatic animals has a faster rate of breathing. They need to breathe fast so that they can intake much amount of oxygen from the water. So here in terrestrial animals, percentage of oxygen is higher. That's why there is a slow movement during the intake and exhale of the gases, or intake of oxygen and exhale of the carbon dioxide. So this is the difference between the aquatic animals and terrestrial animals and their breathing process. So this is all about respiration in living organisms, how they use the glucose for getting the energy from the process. And this is about the breathing that also involved in the respiration process. So this is all about the respiration in living organisms. I hope you have understand or get little bit knowledge from this. Okay, thank you.